Hello, all you Gridiron fanatics out there. Glad you could join us for another edition of Gridiron Gab Pro Style, where we gab about all things pro football, from the scoops of the regular season to the scores in the postseason and the picks in the offseason. Let's start gabbing.
The autumn winds move like the thunderous waves of Neptune's sacred palace. And here, amongst the blackened soil, lies the ragged hands, worn, torn, and callous. They await with cunning and vicious prowess, for the warriors have returned.
Welcome back, all you Gridiron fanatics out there. Glad you could join us for another edition of Gridiron Gab Pro Style. I am, of course, Mr. CeeLo. Glad to be back with you again. Joining you, we're about a quarter of a way through the season. Well, we're coming up on a quarter of a way through the season. With the 17-game season, we're right there. Wow, it just goes so fast, doesn't it? But some teams are disappointed and some are trying to get it figured out, and some are rolling right now. And unfortunately, we've got two teams that one is trying to figure it out, one hasn't got it figured out. I don't want to say that the Bears are in total disarray. A lot of you are probably going to blame this on Justin Fields, but to me, a lot of it's coaching. I'm just going to throw it out there. I think the organization from top to bottom is just, I just really don't understand what they're trying to accomplish. You can't just take a quarterback and not understand what you're doing with them. That to me, that's not the Commanders. Sam Howell just had one of those games that was just absolutely horrendous. You take one game away and his numbers are not that bad. They've been in most of their games except that one. And, for the most part, you're looking at a team that, as I said, has been in 3 of the 4 losses. They gave Philly all it could handle last week, and I think that the Commanders are going in the right direction. That's the opposite of the Bears. The Bears sent a prolific playmaker home in Chase Claypool. And I have some comments about that. People are going to say Claypool has a history going back to Pittsburgh. I get that. I understand that. But Claypool has not been properly utilized as a Chicago Bear. And honestly, all of these promises that they said that they were going to deliver as far as Justin Fields being able to make better decisions and use his skill set has not been realized. And I'm just looking at this team and I'm saying to myself, Fields has had some moments, but then again, there's been times he's putting up points in this season and the defense has not performed. I mean, you look at 38 points to the Packers, 27 to the Bucks, 41 to the Chiefs, and 31 to the Broncos in a loss last week. I'm just going to be honest with you. The offense scored 20 in that Packers game, winnable. 17 to the Buccaneers, needs more points. Chiefs, 10 points, need more points. That game last week to the Broncos, I'm just going to put it out there. A lot of this is just bad coaching. I'm not trying to defend Justin Fields, but I'm just keeping it in perspective. They're not using him to his strengths. And when you get a quarterback like Justin Fields, you have to have some clarity as to what you're going to do. You have to have the right coaching staff. You have to have the right offensive coordinator. And most importantly, you have to have a defense that complements what he does. And complements what you want to do on that side of the ball. Meanwhile, you've got Washington. You've had some bright spots this year and some really big wins. I mean, that loss you had against the Eagles this past week was a heartbreaker. They won that game. I mean, they played well enough to win this game. You just have to, in a sense, you have to continuously keep working. And I just, this is a loss where it can either change your season. It can either make you better and show you that you're ahead of where you need to be, and you can play with the elites, and you just need to take that last step, or it can destroy your season. It could be a situation where, it could hurt you. But for the most part, I look at the Commanders as going in the right direction. I think they're doing some really good things, and they have some upside. But looking at Sam Howell's playing, as I said, outside of that one game, he's playing some good football. And to be honest, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking this is going to be a game where you're going to see. I wouldn't be surprised if Sam Howell threw for 300. And it wouldn't shock me if Terry McLaurin went crazy. But what bothers me more than anything else is possibly that this Washington Commander pass rush harasses Justin Fields and up and down the field. And it's possible this game could get ugly. I don't see it getting ugly, but it's possible. Don't count that out. If you see it, if it gets ugly, you don't forget Mr. CeeLo told you. But I see this game going even. I think this is just me. I'm looking at some things with Chicago. You look at the numbers and they're relatively even, except Chicago runs the ball a tad bit different, and more than likely that's because of Justin Fields. And they give up equally. Washington's defense is equally as good. I would say Washington's run defense is a little bit a little bit more suspect than Chicago's. And the Bears give up a lot of passing yards, but that's a lot of because they do not have a guy that can pass rush. But they're pretty much even. You're looking at it. This game could go, either way. The Commanders have victories over the Cards and a nail biter, and they have victories over the Broncos. So really, the Commanders have not beaten anybody that's of that status. So looking at that, it's kind of deceiving to a lot of people. So it's like, meanwhile Chicago, they lost the nail biter to Denver, same as same as Washington did, 35-33 at Denver. So Chicago lost their game, and Denver beat them in their building. But Chicago was like up 28-7, I think it was, and they made that comeback. It was 21-7, 28-7. I'm not sure, but looking at this. DJ Moore's had a pretty good season, but a lot of his balls have been, deep shots / plays where he's gotten out in the open space. Still love DJ Moore. Still love you, buddy. And I'm just not certain that Chicago is going to be able to. Their defense just bothers me. It does. I mean, now they could surprise. Thursday night games are called the wild card games. Anything goes. But as I said before, Khalil Herbert's a great running get back for Chicago. And looking at the Commanders roster, it's just really tough looking at what they have. Of course they got McLaurin, but you got Robinson, and you got Robinson who's the leading rusher, but then you got to throw in Sam Howell, who is second on the team in rushing. But he doesn't really scare me. I'm not even going to kid you. Curtis Samuel is finally coming into his own, if you will. And then there's Jahan Dotson. But I will admit, Sam Howell's impressed me a little bit. I will admit he has impressed me, and I think it's cool that Ron Rivera's giving him his shot, because outside of the horrible, 4 interceptions he had last week. The week before, excuse me. He was pretty good. He was pretty good. So, needless to say, I'm taking Washington by a field goal. I'm going to take what both teams did against Denver and kind of mesh them together. I know you don't do common opponents, but I'm going to take Washington in this one. I think Sam Howell goes wild, but I also think Justin Fields goes wild too. He's going to have a lot of rushing yards because that pass rush is Washington is really good, and I expect him to hook up with DJ Moore at least once for a big game. But that's going to do it for us, guys. Go to the Facebook page, Gridiron Gab Pro Style, and let me know what you think about the pick. And also, check out my Instagram and see the things that I'm going to be caught up in and what I'm doing, as well as the many shows that I'm going to be involved in. But until the next time, all you fellow gabbers, same gab channel, same gab platform.
But behold, there is a warm breeze that comes from the west. The blazing sounds of victory fuel their everlasting quest. It is a call to arms, for they are here. An army that has the will to challenge and the will to